We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus.
Hi, I'm Priscilla, bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines. A 6.1 magnitude earthquake jolted Surigao del Sur Monday morning.
Thousands of protesters cheered as activists installed a plaque in Bangkok Sunday declaring that Thailand belongs to the people. The boldest show of defiance in a youth-led movement which is questioning an assailable monarchist role in the country.
U.S. President Donald Trump Sunday spoke to Japan's new Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga to congratulate him on taking office and to discuss a free and open Indo-Pacific region which is increasingly dominated by China. A 6.1 magnitude earthquake jolted Surigao del Sur on Monday morning. In a bulletin, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, reported that the strong tremor struck at 6:13 a.m. It was tectonic in origin with epicenter of the waters of Bayabas in Surigao del Sur. Intensity 1 was felt in Surigao City and Gingoog City. Meanwhile, a magnitude 5.2 quake struck Davao Occidental Sunday night. The tectonic quake struck 41 kilometers northwest of the municipality of Don Marcelino at 9:28 p.m. and had a depth of 172 kilometers. Intensity 3 was felt in General Santos City and Alabel, Sarangani, while intensity 2 was felt in Mati City, Glan and Malapatan, Sarangani, Don Marcelino, Davao Occidental, Kiblawan and Santa Cruz, and Davao del Sur. Instrumental intensity 3 was recorded in Alabel, Sarangan. Reported intensity is the traditional way of knowing the intensity based on reports by people who felt the earthquake. Instrumental intensity is measured using instruments or intensity meter that measures the ground acceleration. Acceleration record is converted to intensities according to PHIVOLCS Director Renato Solidum Jr. PHIVOLCS said aftershocks are possible while damages are not expected from the quake. Early this month, 2 earthquakes with magnitude 6.3 and 5.5 struck waters off Sarangani, Davao Occidental.
Truck calls for new leaves, 3 deaths, others injured. And giving the latest updates from Vietnam is Charlene Navarra. Hi, Charlene.
Hi, Crystal. Good afternoon to you and to everyone who's watching. Yes, yet another sad update by Vietnam News.vn as 3 people have died and 112 others were injured after Storm Nu swept through the central region on Friday, reported the Office of the Central Steering Committee on Natural Disaster Prevention and Control yesterday. So the typhoon, the 5th arising in the East Sea so far this year, made landfall on Friday morning and hit central localities, especially Da Nang, Tuat Tien Hue, Quang Binh, and Quang Tri before weakening into a tropical low pressure system. It destroyed 10 houses and blew away the roofs of 22,562 houses. Torrential rain-induced flooding submerged 79 houses as well as over 3,000 hectares of rice fields and crops. Up to 36 power poles collapsed while 3 transformer stations were damaged and 3 telecommunications towers and 15 cable car systems were broken. Many localities in Tua Tien Hue have suffered power outages. So far, the locality has restored power to 75% of areas affected. Serious erosion occurred along 6.2 kilometers of the coast of Tua Tien Hue. Landslides blocked many roads in central provinces. So by yesterday morning, Crystal, traffic had resumed on most of the blocked national highways, provincial highways, and roads in the provinces of Nghệ An, Ha Tinh, Quang Binh, Quang Tri, and Tua Tien Hue. So affected localities are working hard to repair the damage. The Office of the Central Steering Committee on Natural Disaster Prevention and Control has directed localities to support affected locals and keep a close watch on the water levels in rivers. The localities have been asked to evacuate people in areas at high risk of landslide and flooding to safe places while remaining ready to deal with the process of rain at reservoirs. So on Saturday, Deputy Prime Minister Ching Ding-zong, who is also head of Central Steering Committee on Natural Disaster Prevention and Control, asked localities and ministries to promptly tackle the storm's aftermath and actively respond to its effects as torrential rains are expected to continue over the next few days. He also asked the localities to promptly assist affected people, so particularly in repairing their houses, cleaning up, feeding the hungry, and helping business resume operations. The Ministry of National Defense and Public Security were asked to arrange staff and equipment to assist people in affected areas. So he asked that information be provided so people can prepare for any after effects. Back to you, Crystal.
All right, thank you for your updates, Charlene. Stay safe and stay healthy.
You too, Krista. And greetings, by the way, to Gina Cruz, Evan Bersamina, Magdalena Lagrimas, and Josefina Cordero, who are always watching and supporting ASEAN News. So this has been Charlene Devota reporting live from Hanoi, Vietnam. We live in interesting times.
Cheered as activists installed a plaque in Bangkok declaring that Thailand belongs to the people. Now, this is the boldest show of defiance in a youth-led movement yet, which is questioning the unassailable monarchy's role in the country. On Sunday at dawn, student activists installed a commemorative people's plaque in Sanam Luang Field. The new plaque states the date September 20, 2020, followed by the proclamation, "The people have expressed the intention that this country belongs to the people and not the king," unquote. The movement is pushing frank questioning of the royal family's role into the public, once a taboo topic due to Thailand's draconian royal defamation laws. Now, the plaque references the original brass, one embedded for decades in the ground of Bangkok's Royal Plaza, which commemorated the end of royal absolutism in 1932. But it mysteriously disappeared in 2017 after King Maha Vajiralongkorn took power following the death of his father, replaced with one bearing a reminder for Thais to remain loyal to the nation, religion, and the king. Now, activists say the missing plaque is emblematic of a wider whitewashing of Thai political history. Palace officials did not immediately respond to requests for comment.
More than 200 supporters from Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Thailand gathered in downtown Taipei in support of the Thai pro-democracy demonstrators in Bangkok demanding political reform.
Now we are fighting with so-called like dictatorship government that claim themselves to be democratic, and we actually see that that is not like true. So we want the reform, the political reform.
ค่ะและเตือนกันอีกครั้งหนึ่งเตือนกันบ่อยๆเนาะทุกท่านนะคะในที่ชุมชน
Thailand has seen near daily protests for the past 2 months led by student activists calling for the resignation of Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, a former army chief who masterminded the 2014 coup. Demonstrators spent Saturday rallying in Bangkok's historic Nam Luang Field next to the Grand Palace. Organizers took a stronger line on reform for the royal family to stay out of the kingdom's politics. Authorities said the demonstration drew 18,000, though reporters on the ground estimated a 30,000 strong crowd at its peak, making it the largest such gathering in Thailand since the 2014 coup. The largely leaderless youth organized movement, partly inspired by Hong Kong's pro-democracy protests, is calling for Prayut's government to be dissolved, the rewrite of the 2017 military scripted constitution, and for authorities to stop harassing political opponents. Some factions within the movement have also called for greater accounting of the palace finances, the abolition of royal defamation laws, and the call for the king to remain outside of politics.
So, Crystal, can you give me an insight on what's behind these rallies and what do the protesters really want? We've seen protests before, but what is different and why now?
Yes, Alma, that's a very interesting question. The protesters are basically rallying against the government of Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha. The army former chief led a coup in 2014 and kept the kingdom under military rule for 5 years. Under the junta, a new constitution was drafted before elections were held last year. Prayut was voted in to lead a civilian government, and winning analysts say was tilted by the new charter's provisions. Protesters say that the whole process was a stitch-up and are calling for parliament to be dissolved, the constitution rewritten, and an end to the harassment they are facing. They also have a list of 10 demands for the monarchy, including throwing out a defamation law that shields the powerful royal family from criticism. The law is one of the harshest of its kind in the world, Alma, carrying a jail sentence of up to 15 years per charge. Under Section 112 of Thailand's Penal Code, anyone convicted of defaming, insulting, or threatening the king, queen, heir, or regent faces between 3 and 15 years in prison on each count. Many protesters say the move against the Future Forward Party was politically motivated. If you remember, Alma, in June, prominent activist Wanchalerm Satsakit, who had been living in self-exile in neighboring Cambodia, disappeared. Thailand's social media say the activists lit up Twitter with their demands for answers. The online campaign spilled off offline mid-July, and viral protests across the country began, with up to 30,000 speaking out this weekend at the biggest rally since the 2014 coup. Thailand has since a thin cycle of violent street protests and military coups over the decades. But in the past, the protest movements had vast financial and political clout behind them. Today, student demonstrators say there is no single leader, a strategy inspired by the Hong Kong pro-democracy protest. Daring to take on the taboo topic of the monarchy is also a first. Under the constitution, the royals, including super rich King Mahavajiralongkorn, are supposed to stay out of politics, but they built enormous clout. Since the king took the throne in 2016, he has made unprecedented changes, taking direct control of the palace fortune and moving 2 army units under his command. At his side are the arch-royalist military and powerful billionaire clans.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much for that insight. Okay, we'll take a short break, and ASEAN in Focus will be right back.
Hello there, I'm Alfred, and I'm a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, batch of 2008 in New Era University. I'm currently working as an operations analyst in Autodesk.
Hi, I'm Earl Escanio, and I graduated with Bachelor of Science major in Computer Science in 2010. I am a consultant at Trinity Consulting LLC.
Hi, I'm Ivy Nakapagal, Bachelor's of Computer Science graduate, year 2010. I'm currently working as a cybersecurity analyst in one of the largest telco here in New Zealand, Coast Park NZ.
I'm Frank David Riego, a BS Computer Science graduate here in 15. As a legal analyst, I am tasked to read U.S. cases, specifically civil torts cases.
I am Melanie Rico Hermoso P, a Bachelor of Science and Computer Science graduate, year 2006.
I'm currently a software quality assurance engineer at FBI Systems here in Maryland, United States.
Hi, I'm Renzo Cruz. I'm a graduate of BS Computer Science, year 2012. I'm currently working abroad, and I'm working as a senior cybersecurity consultant who specializes in digital forensics and incident response. And I am part of a national security in one of the countries here in the Middle East.
I am inviting everyone to study at New Era University to legit, true grit.
Be brilliant in the new era.
Study now at New Era University.
Excellence!
Discipline,
Service to humanity.
The captain of the stricken Mount Byron tanker will face negligence and pollution charges in Sri Lanka. Joining us live from Sri Lanka is Vanessa Viloria Silva. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, Cristel. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Go ahead.
Yes, authorities said Sri Lanka will file negligence and pollution charges against the Greek skipper of an oil tanker that leaked fuel off the island nation's coast after a week-long fire. Some of the 1,700 tons of heavy fuel oil on board the New Diamond poured into the Indian Ocean, prompting a large effort to contain a leak that was roughly 2 kilometers, 1.2 miles in length. Its 270,000-ton cargo of crude oil was unaffected by the fire. A spokeswoman for Attorney General Bakula Delivira said there is sufficient evidence to prosecute the skipper under the Marine Pollution Act, as well as the Penal Code for Criminal Negligence. Much of the slate has been cleaned up, and no further fuel leaked from the vessel since Friday. For now, there are no signs of the slate reaching the coast. Delivira said the Panamanian registered tanker's owners would also be slapped with a $1.88 million firefighting bill. The Greek ship owner, the vessel is owned by Liberian registered Porto Emporios Shipping Corporation and managed by Greek ship owner, New Shipping Limited. According to the Sri Lankan Navy, compensation would also be sought from the owners for the cost of any environmental cleanup and damage. Sri Lanka has meanwhile asked the ship owners to tow the 330 meters, 1,100-foot tanker beyond its exclusive economic zone, which extends 220 nautical miles, 370 kilometers from its coast. The nation's environmental authorities fear a marine disaster if the tanker is allowed to transfer its oil to another ship in the country's waters. The stricken tanker is currently located some 770 nautical miles east of the Sri Lankan coastal town of Batticaloa. Back to you, Cristel.
All right. Thank you, Vanessa, for all your updates. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Christelle. Reporting live from Sri Lanka, this is Vanessa Viloria Silva, and we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Vanessa. And to Vietnam now. Nearly 2,000 Vietnamese citizens were repatriated from the US, 10 European nations, the Republic of Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia over the last 8 days. Michelle Acuna joins us live from Vietnam. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Crystal. That's right. This is an update from the Socialist Republic of Vietnam online newspaper. Nearly 2,000 Vietnamese citizens arrived home past 8 days. As many as the 1,950 Vietnamese citizens were repatriated from the US, 10 from European nations, the Republic of Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia from September 13 to 20. The passengers included children under 18 years old, the elderly, students who had completed their courses, severely ill people, workers with expired visas and labor contracts, stranded tourists, and those in specially disadvantaged circumstances. To protect health of passengers in the COVID-19 pandemic, security, safety, and disease prevention measures were seriously carried out during the flights. Right after landing at the local airports, all the passengers received check-ups and were sent to concentrated quarantine sites in line with current regulations in COVID-19 responses. So far, Vietnam has organized 135 rescue flights to repatriate 39,025 citizens stranded abroad due to COVID-19. More flights are set to be arranged in the time ahead to repatriate Vietnamese citizens with disadvantaged circumstances, depending on their need and domestic quarantine capacity. So for the COVID tally, Crystal, Vietnam goes 18 days without community infection case of the virus. Vietnam has gone 18 days without the new community infection cases of COVID-19. The National Steering Committee for COVID-19 Prevention and Control reported Sunday afternoon. This means the country's patient tally remains unchanged at 1,068, including 948 recoveries and 35 fatalities. Of the total, 691 are locally transmitted cases, said the committee. Back to you, Crystal.
All right, Michelle. Thank you for all your updates. Please always stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Reporting live from Ho Chi Minh City, I am Michelle Acuna. We live in interesting times.
Strike in northwest Cambodia's Battambang province killed 6 people. It also injured 4 others, according to the provincial governor. The victims were relatives and were gathered for a dinner under a stilt house on the Pichupumben Festival, or Ancestors Day, when the tragic incident took place at around 6 p.m. local time on Thursday. The governor told Xinhua News over telephone that, quote, 6 people, including 2 women, were killed outright and 4 others got wounded by the lightning strike, unquote. Lightning occurs every year in Cambodia, particularly during the rainy season from May to October.
A small number of Muslim women in Malaysia are choosing not to wear the headscarf, going against conventions and pushing back against rising conservatism in the Muslim-majority country.
Where I keep all my hijab, aka tudung, but this is like the rest of it. I used to have a lot more of it. I used to have a lot more of them. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when I found out that, because I mean all my life I've been told that it's wajib, that it is mandatory, and if I don't wear it, it's sinful, it's sinning. And then I found out it actually wasn't. So I felt very cheated. Like all your life you've been told one thing and it turns out to be a lie. Here's my harder. I think I'm going to take this one. So, like some of the shawls here are pretty thick. Women in this part of the world, when they take off their hijab, what happens to them? They get bullied, they get harassed. So the freedom right now is not to hijab. The freedom right now is to de-hijab. Like that, like very closely. But now I just wear it loosely on my head. I wear it, and you know, some hair still showing, and then I just put it.
Meanwhile, people in the Philippines are now resigned to a new normal that wearing a face shield and mask is now mandatory in indoor public spaces and on public transport to curb the spread of the coronavirus. Now, the latest measure comes as the country maintains to curb the virus outbreak 6 months after the tough restrictions were introduced to curb the contagion, including stay-at-home orders, travel bans, and no talking on buses and even trains. Infections are still rising by several thousand every day. Now, some measures have been eased to help kickstart the economy.
World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said that COVID-19 has shown that the world is underprepared for pandemic, and the right political and financial commitment and investment now, we can prevent and mitigate future pandemics. From endless warnings about the world being underprepared, all countries need to dig in together and invest to ensure a pandemic.
And invest to ensure a pandemic of this magnitude and severity never happens again. With the right political and financial commitment and investment now, we can prevent and mitigate future pandemics. In a world that's heating up and where intensified human activity is shrinking wild spaces, the likelihood of spillover of a novel pathogen from animals to humans is increasing. We know for certain that there will be future novel viruses and another so-called disease X. But we also have the tools and know-how that the only way confront these global threats is as a global community, united in solidarity and committed to long-term cooperation.
While our assessment of the global COVID-19 response is harsh, we strongly do believe that we can prevent the next pandemic if we learn its lessons and take the actions needed rapidly, boldly, and collectively. To prepare for the next pandemic, we have to have a completely different level of investment in preparedness. And it means, you know, it sounds not so much. If we have $4.50 per capita across the world, we can do what is necessary to have a good preparedness. But of course, as I said, you know, preparedness you can measure in billions of dollars, but the cost of a pandemic is in trillions and trillions of dollars. There was not a lack of warning. It was not only us warning people and leaders last year. It has been warned again and again over the last 10 years since SARS, H1N1, MERS, and of course Ebola. And we should have been better prepared. Also, we will need to improve the international health regulations.
Bhutan from Aung San Suu Kyi's chaotic and autocratic party, one female MP is now taking on Myanmar's national heroine in the upcoming election, claiming the country needs to work with, not against, a military accused of genocide.
NLD is no longer the solution for the country. And then the way the party is run is very chaotic, and then it's very autocratic, with one person is making all the decisions without consulting. Till her last day, she will keep on the power. We recognize the role of the military in the state building process. The military, maybe they overreact the situation, but it's not genocide or ethnic cleansing, no.
In the Philippines, a suspected member of terrorist group Dawla Islamiyah was arrested in Quezon City after the weekend, according to Philippine National Police Chief General Camilo Cascolan. Now, Cascolan identified the suspect as Kevin Madrinian, also known as Ibrahim Abdullah Madrinian, and Ibrahim Khalil Al-Garaba. Operatives of the PNP Intelligence Group and Quezon City Police District arrested Madrinian on the corner of Atherton and Burbank Streets in North Fairview at around 4:50 in the afternoon on September 19. Confiscated from Madrinian were a 45 caliber pistol with a high-capacity magazine, a hand grenade, and 3 pieces of 1,000 peso bills. Background investigation showed that Madrinian is a Balik Islam convert who's the contact person and liaison in Luzon of Dawla Islamiyah members from Maguindanao province, whose leaders are Ismael Abdul Malik alias Abu Turaife and Salahuddin Hassan alias Abu Salman, and those from Sulu under Mundi Sawadjaan. Madrinian is responsible for the recruitment of Balik Islam converts and facilitated their travel to Mindanao for training and jihad exposure. Cascolan said Madrinian claimed to be the Luzon liaison of Dawla Islamiyah after the arrest of Datu Omar Palte, alias Alan Palti, in Quezon City on January 1. Madrinian has links with Yusuf Makoto of Cavite and Muhammad Paras of Bulacan. He remained in Luzon when Makoto and Paras joined Dawla Islamiyah forces in the Maui siege in 2017. Makoto and Paras died in the Marawi City battle. ASEAN in Focus will be right back.
You want to earn a degree while you work? New Era University now offers Expanded Tertiary Education Equivalency and Accreditation Program, or ETIAP. ETIAP is an educational scheme that recognizes knowledge, skills, and prior learning obtained by individuals from non-formal and informal education experiences. It is implemented through deputized higher educational institutions like the New Era University that awards the appropriate degrees. Programs offered are the following: Master's Program, Masters of Arts in Education, major in Educational Management, Master's Program in Business Administration, Bachelor of Arts in Science, major in Political Science, Bachelor of Arts in Science, major in Mass Communication, Bachelor of Science in Education, major in Filipino, major in English, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with majors in Human Resources Development, Marketing Management, and Financial Management. Beneficiaries must be Filipinos who have attained at least high school level of education. The program is flexible and you don't need to attend regular classes. Expanded Tertiary Education Equivalency and Accreditation Program, or ETIAP, is under the supervision of Dr. Nilo L. Rosas, the University President, and Professor Anita P. Santos, Director of ETIAP. For more information, contact the following: Cristina Moreno, 0995-138-0786, or email cvmoreno@meu.edu.ph, or Arlene Sarmiento 0906-298-9150 or email cedctl@neu.edu.ph. What are you waiting for? Let New Era University be your partner in achieving your dreams.
U.S. President Donald Trump spoke to Japan's new Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga to congratulate him on taking office and to discuss a free and open Indo-Pacific region which is increasingly dominated by China. Beijing's expanding military presence in the region has worried several of its neighbors, and Washington has vowed to stand up against its territorial claims. China is locked in disputes with neighbors including Japan and Vietnam over islands in the resource-rich South China Sea. The White House, in a statement, said the two leaders discussed the importance of pursuing our shared vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific, continuing to strengthen the United States-Japan alliance and working together to strengthen the global economy. Japan's Kyodo News reported, meanwhile, that after the phone conversation, Prime Minister Suga told reporters that he informed President Trump that the alliance with Washington is the cornerstone of peace and stability in the region.
A North Korean man launched a legal challenge Friday against a U.S. bid to extradite him from Malaysia over allegations he supplied goods to his country in breach of sanctions. Moon Chol-myung, who has lived in the Southeast Asian country with his family for a decade, was arrested last year following an extradition request from Washington. He denies FBI claims that he led a criminal group that violated sanctions by supplying luxury goods to North Korea and laundered funds through front companies. A Malaysian court in December approved his extradition to the United States, but Moon on Friday appealed against the decision at the High Court in Kuala Lumpur. His lawyer, Choi Soon-seng, argued Moon was innocent and the allegations against him were of a political character. The court will rule on the appeal on October 8. Moon, in his 50s, is accused of 4 charges of money laundering and 2 of conspiracy to launder money, mainly in relation to his work for a firm in neighboring Singapore.
Navy Chief Vice Admiral Giovanni Carlo Bacordo, an official of the Philippine Navy, on Sunday said the country is one with the community of nations in ensuring the freedom of navigation across the vast South China Sea, as he welcomed the support of 3 European countries to the arbitral award that invalidated China's expansive claims in the disputed waters. France, Germany, and the United Kingdom submitted a note verbal to the UN last week asserting the 2016 arbitral award, which opposed China's vast historical claims in the resource-rich waters. The 3 European powers collectively said the claims with regard to the exercise of historic rights over the South China Sea waters do not comply with international law and the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS provisions, and none less than the 2016 landmark decision of the PCA confirms this point. Navy Chief Vice Admiral Giovanni Carlo Bacordo said, quote, "We are one with the community of nations in ensuring a continuing freedom of navigation across this vast maritime zone." He, however, added that the note verbal has no bearing on the enforcement of the PCA ruling that Beijing refuses to recognize. Bacordo said the issue is compliance to the ruling among signatory nations to the UNCLOS. The note verbal challenges Beijing's claims over the South China Sea and supported the ruling that favored Manila.
Singapore police are investigating a company linked to 2 entrepreneurs trying to buy Newcastle United after an accounting firm a police report over unauthorized signatures on the group's financial statements. The 2 Singaporean entrepreneurs, cousins Terrorism and Nelson Law, head the Belgrade Nova Group along with a Chinese business partner. The group's bid to buy the English Premier League football club hit a snag after reports emerged last month of manipulated photos purporting to show former U.S. President Barack Obama in a meeting with its founders in Paris, among other inconsistent claims. Ernst & Young said Saturday it did not sign off on the documents of Novena Global Healthcare Group, but served as the auditor of a Singapore subsidiary in 2017. A spokesperson said Ernst & Young LLP were never the auditors of Novena Global Healthcare Group, incorporated in Cayman Islands. The police confirmed that a report was lodged and said they were looking into the matter. The Novena Global Healthcare Group is owned by the LOHs, according to the Straits Times newspaper. The newspaper reported that Terrence Law denied any wrongdoing through his lawyer. BN Group's bid came after a Saudi-backed consortium withdrew its offer to buy Newcastle in late July, following a months-long wait for Premier League approval. The company has blamed errant individuals for the Dr. Obama photographs. It has made other questionable claims, including that it is headquartered at a prestigious Paris address. As a demand for gold soars during the pandemic, a Singapore exchange is offering mom and pop investors what they say is an easier way to get their hands on the precious metal. Let's watch this.
When we first started our business a decade ago, obviously we attracted the elite group, people who had money. But it's our aspiration to be able to reach the mass market. So what we did, our first program was we allowed people to accumulate small pieces, small sums of 1 gram gold bars.
And that's the latest news in the ASEAN region. Thank you for joining us today here in ASEAN in Focus. This is Crystal Nova from your Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Crystal, for joining me today. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times. Thank you, Crystal.